Here to tell us about the Decades Rewind is owner of the show, Peter Gatti. Peter, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you. It's such an incredible show. 3 decades of music that people can expect to see. What else can they experience when they go to the show?
First and foremost, it's fun. It's the most fun that you'll have probably in a long time. I don't know the last time you went to a show or performance, an experience, and left there saying, oh my gosh, I just had so much fun tonight. Yeah. And that's what we hear at the other night all the way through. First and foremost, it's fun. It's a party. It's a good time out.
I love that. Well, that's how you want to feel after leaving a concert
Absolutely.
Or any show, is that I had such a great time. And you guys do a lot of these shows. How many did you do just last year?
In 2017, we did about 85 shows or so in 37 different states. Wow. And this year, we're on track to do the same or more.
Yeah, so
we stay busy.
First time in Tucson.
It is.
It is quite a spectacle looking at some of the video and some of the photos, too. What are the costumes like for this show?
Costumes we have over 100 costume changes through our 6 lead vocalists, and they're era-specific as well as genre-specific. So you might have a disco outfit, or you might have a hippie outfit. Yeah. It's really interesting because I get asked a lot, how do they do it? How do they change costumes 100 times? And my common answer is I'm on stage because I also play keyboards, and all I know is I see them go off this side and come on back on this side with another costume. I'm really not sure how they do it. And one of these days I'll put a camera back there or something. But the show starts in the 80s and we rewind back to the 60s. We do over 60 songs, all in a medley format. Yeah. You'll hear everything from disco and pop to funk to Motown, from the Beatles to Chubby Checker. 60 plus songs in 2 hours. Nowhere else that I know of that you can experience that much music in such a short time frame and touch all those decades.
It is unique among all other shows. And you say you play keyboard on stage. You have to have wonderful musicians and vocalists.
Yes, I'm very lucky. We have 8 musicians, including a horn section, and 6 lead vocalists that are just phenomenal. The costumes enhance the show. We also have 3 big video screens that portray American culture, almost like a history lesson, as we talked before the interview. You'll see footage from Woodstock, from Vietnam. You'll see all the presidents that served. It's an audio and a visual experience for sure.
Well, and you mentioned history. You said you actually had a teacher come up to you after the show.
After one of the shows, the history teacher came up to me and said, thanks for the history lesson. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was pretty cool.
Well, you guys, I mean, you're in the business of delivering nostalgia to people is what you're doing with this whole experience. So what does it take to really craft the experience to deliver that?
You know, it's really interesting. I get asked again a lot about 60s, 70s, and 80s, such great eras of music. And that's a blessing and a curse because there's so many songs to choose from, so it makes it easy. But yet there's so many songs to choose from, so it makes it hard. Because you and I can go sit and have a cup of coffee and probably pick 60 songs just as good. But that keeps us on our toes. We constantly change our show. But honestly, it takes a lot of hard work. We have a lot of choreography. But the video helps, the costumes help, and just a lot of dedication. And I'm very lucky to say that my whole cast and crew provide that.
And how long is the show?
The show's about 2 hours long with a 15-minute intermission.
Oh man, I bet people wish it was longer too.
You know, we get told that, why'd you stop? Keep playing.
Right.
It's like, well, we'd love to, but theaters don't always like much more than 2 hours.
You know, like you were saying, any age, any type of life experience that you've had, everyone is going to love this show. Everyone can relate.
It brings back so many memories. The 3 words we hear: memories, tears, and fun. And it really does. And every memory is different. The memory you have from hearing a Rolling Stones song is different from the memory I have. So it's almost hard to explain. You got to really experience it and feel it to understand it.
Well, I think you've found something very special here. You're really tapping into people's psyches, into their memories, like you were saying. You mentioned some of the reasons, but why does it resonate so well with people?
I think because, first of all, the music was so good. The culture, it was 3 very strong decades of American culture. We went from the Age of Innocence to you know, then all of a sudden rock and roll was the devil's music, and then the Beatles came over, and oh my God, they're going to ruin the world, you know, and then we had, you know, the hippie, you know, peace and love and all that stuff, and then the Vietnam War. So it's almost like the Age of Innocence to the Age of War. And by covering all that, it just, like you said, there's so much involved. It's really some really predominant parts of American culture as well as the music.
Right. Keywords: culture, variety, nostalgia.
Absolutely.
What would you say, out of all these eras and musicians and bands and songs, what's your favorite?
I get asked that all the time, and my first answer is I'm an 80s guy. I was an 80s rocker. I love the 80s stuff. We do Boston, we do Bohemian Rhapsody in its entirety, which quite honestly, I don't think anyone does.
That's a toughie.
But for the show itself, I love performing the 60s, which are the second half of our show is all 60s, because regardless of the age of the person, from 8 years old to 80 years old, everybody knows the Beatles, everybody knows the Stones, everybody knows Chubby Checker, everybody knows Janis Joplin. So every single person in there, it really gets into it. I mean, they do the whole show. They dance. We start disco. A disco ball starts spinning. The whole place stands up and dances. So
absolutely,
it's just like I said, a party. But the '60s is my favorite to perform. But I'm really an '80s guy secretly.
I'm right there with you. The '80s, hair bands. You got the new wave movement. A
lot of stuff going on.
Love that stuff. People are encouraged to get up and dance. Go and have a party, like you were saying. It's on St. Patrick's Day. If you've been looking for something to do,
absolutely, it's a great time. And dress in costume. Dress in your favorite era. We have people show up in hippie costumes, disco outfits, rock and roll, spiked hair, you name it. Come ready to party and enjoy the decades.
Just have fun with it. 3 decades of great music and great memories. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming to town.
I'm glad to be here.
And it's going
to be a
great
beautiful slate.
Thank you. Now, Decades Rewind is taking place this Saturday at 7:30 at night at the Fox Theater. And as a special for viewers, use the code MorningBlend for buy one, get one ticket free. That's a great deal. You can use that code when you order your tickets online at foxtucson.com or by calling 520-547-3040.